10-Minute Jazz Lesson Podcast, episode 365. Hey everybody, welcome back to episode 365 of the 10-Minute Jazz Lesson Podcast. Thank you so much for joining us again, and if you're new to the show, welcome in. We're so happy to have you here. So this is going to be the last in our series on tune-based learning on the great tune Donna Lee, and we've gone over a whole bunch of different ideas, and today is going to be kind of the most out idea, for lack of a better term. This one's going to be really, really interesting, and I think we're going to have some fun with this one because this one might be a sound that you haven't really experimented with before, and we're really going to hammer it over the course of this etude. So just a quick reminder before we get into the podcast that we are a listener-supported show, which means we don't do any advertisements. Instead, we rely on the generosity of listeners just like you to support us in the form of a small monthly donation. And in return for that donation, you do get a PDF and audio examples and all sorts of really great jazz education stuff with every episode. And we do that through the Patreon platform. So you can go to our website, 10minutejazzlesson.com, or you can go to patreon.com and search for the 10-Minute Jazz Lesson. And you can get yourself signed up today. And in addition to getting all the stuff from this week's episode, you get every single episode we've ever done. And this is episode 365, so there's quite a few pieces of jazz education material over there, and you get access to it all for that small monthly donation. Also, just wanted to let you know that the etude that we're going over this week is out in an ebook called 10 Progressive Etudes over Donna Lee. That was released last Saturday, and we've been getting some fantastic feedback from people who have bought the book. So that is available. I will put it in the show notes for this episode, but you can also find it by going to our website and going to the store tab, and it will be over there for purchase. Remember, the Patreon members already got for the etudes for free, and they're also going to get a massive discount on this. So that Patreon membership just keeps getting better and better. All right, let's jump into today's episode. So we have talked about horizontal playing, vertical playing, and last week we talked about approach notes and enclosures. This week, we're going to do something kind of cool. We're going to jump all the way to etude number 7 from the book. So this is etude number 7 out of 10. And what we're going to talk about is playing Lydian over all of the major chords. So that means that if we come across a major 7th chord or we come across a dominant 7th chord, both of those chords are major chords by definition. We are going to work on using a Lydian sound. And if you've never investigated Lydian, if you've never done a lot with Lydian, it's a pretty wild sound to wrap your head around, but it's also a really, really fun one. Makes everything sound very, very modern, and a lot of dissonance happens with this. And especially over like an old school bebop tune, if we do something like use Lydian over every major chord, sounds very, very different from a traditional approach to playing over a bebop tune. Most of the time, we're thinking about those things like approach notes, enclosures, maybe a few diminished sounds, things like that. When we start to get into this territory of Lydian, it's like, is this still Donna Lee? But it can be a fantastic thing for you to open up that sound in your playing. And I think you're going to recognize many of these sounds from some of your favorite modern players out there use Lydian quite often. So let's start by defining Lydian and how to figure it out over both a major chord and a dominant chord. Okay, so if we're dealing with a major 7th chord, let's figure out how we can find Lydian and a couple of different ways to think about it that will hopefully make it easier to do on the fly. So let's use the first chord of Donna Lee, which is concert A flat major. So the technical way to find Lydian is to think about it as the 4th mode of a major scale. Now, this gets a little bit confusing. This is where people start to get a bit confused about how to find a mode and how to think about modes. So if I want to play A flat major 7 Lydian sharp 11, however you want to think about it, I have to think about, okay, I know that Lydian is the fourth mode of a major scale. So what scale is A flat the fourth of? What major scale is A flat the fourth step of? And of course, that would be E flat major. So then basically what you do is you play an E flat major scale, but you start on A flat. Okay, so that sounds like this over the A flat major 7 chord. And you hear it's very close to a major scale. It just has that sharped 4 or that sharped 11, which makes it Lydian. And that's sort of the definition of Lydian, is a raised fourth. So we know we can figure it out theoretically soundly by using the fourth mode of a major scale, which is called the Lydian mode. Who would have thunk? Now, another way that could be a good shortcut for you is to just think about an A flat major scale, but raise the fourth degree, and you get the exact same results because we're not changing any other note in that A flat major scale except for the fourth degree. So you could think about it like that if it's easier for you. Okay, so there's a theoretical way and a shorthand way. Use whatever works easiest for you. All right, now if we go to a dominant chord, so let's go to concert F7, which is the second chord of Donna Lee. So in order to get Lydian dominant, which is what this is sort of known as in the jazz world, what we have to do is we have to think about the fourth mode of a melodic minor scale. So it's still the fourth mode, which is kind of cool, but now we're dealing with melodic minor. So if we want to get F Lydian dominant, we have to think about what melodic minor scale is F the fourth step of, and that would be C melodic minor. So if we play a C melodic minor scale, but we start on F, we get this. Okay. So there's one way to figure it out. And then, of course, we could do it in kind of our shorthand way, which is going to be a regular old Mixolydian scale with a raised fourth. So if you think about an F Mixolydian scale, you've got a B flat and an E flat. Of course, the fourth step of that scale is B flat. We'll just change it to a B natural, and we get the same result. So again, however you want to think about it is totally fine, but that's like the theoretically sound way and the non-theoretically sound way, the shortcut way. All right, so let's dive into the etude. What you're going to notice is that in just about every single major chord, meaning all major sevenths and all dominant sevenths, I've tried to incorporate some element of Lydian into it. This is really going to stretch your ears if you're not familiar with Lydian. Let's check out what it sounds like. All right, so there you have it, Lydian, all over the place. And again, we're really just hammering that sound. That's what we're after here. We want to overdo it so that we understand how it sounds. And then, of course, in our playing, we can dial it back a little bit. Okay? So remember, you can get the 4 etudes from this month by signing up for our Patreon, and you're supporting the show and keeping it coming out. And you can do that by going to our website, 10minutejazzlesson.com, clicking on one of the Patreon banners, or going to patreon.com and searching for the 10-Minute Jazz Lesson Podcast. The book is out. It is available. Again, I will put that in the show notes. If you're a Patreon member, watch out for another post with your discount to get that book. And it is a lot more etudes just like this. Okay, 6 more etudes that contain very, very different ideas to help you master this tune, and frankly, give you a bunch of ideas to help you master any tune. So consider going out there and getting that book. It will definitely help you in your practice time. We are going to take the week off next week. We do 4 episodes a month, and whenever there's 5, we just go ahead and take a week off, but we'll be back in July with some brand new episodes. Hope you're all doing well out there, staying safe and healthy, and we will see you next time. Have a good weekend, everybody. Bye.